Even if, let's say, you had surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, they say, hey, you're cancer free, or you did it naturally. Hey, you're cancer free, right? There's no evidence of disease. One thing we have to realize is it's still very likely and actually more almost guaranteed that we have circulating tumor cells throughout the body, right? We know chemotherapy does not kill cancer stem cells. We know that radiation does not kill cancer stem cells. This is scientifically proven. So even if the cancer so-called is gone, they can't find it, more likely than not, we have cancer stem cells or we have circulating tumor cells throughout the body. And let's talk about cancer stem cells for a second. Those are the ones that are actually the most important to focus on, right? Those are the ones that are going to rebirth new cancer cells that are going to help. If you, that's why what happens is if, like you were talking about your patient earlier, Dr. Jen, is like, they improve, they get better, the cancer is gone, right? Because they change their diet, all these things. And then you start having some French fries and some fried food and some
so the cancer's not gone.
Foods, right? Yeah, the cancer's still there.
That's the point that you're making, right?
Why does it come back with a vengeance, right? When someone starts eating cheeseburgers and stressed out and things like that again, is because it's opportunistic. Now it's looking for something to help it thrive. It's already basically put its roots into your body. And now you give it the environment and it's like, boom, it takes off like wildfire. Why so many people I've met and interviewed over the years were first diagnosed with stage 1, right? And they did conventional treatment or they made some changes. They didn't change everything. They continue with a lifestyle of an inflammatory lifestyle. And then it came back at stage 4 and metastasized to the bones, right? It's because it's looking for those opportunities. So as you said, we have to focus on detoxification. We have to focus on, healing and cleansing the body. Creating the perfect internal environment where cancer cannot live and cannot thrive.
Right.
And so some of these questions.
And I want to be clear that we all have cancer cells in our body. Exactly. Every single person at every single age and every single stage, we all have cancer cells in our body because it's the result of an abnormal replication of your cells, and we all make mistakes. But with an intact immune system and the right environment, we are able to detect those mistakes and keep them at bay. It's when your body is busy dealing with a poor diet or the side effects of chemotherapy or a toxic environment or an abnormal amount of stress, those things that deplete your immune system, a lack of vitamin D, these are things that allow that tumor go from its infancy to a mature symptomatic cancer.
So I want to go to Rose's question. She submitted on the website, and Rose says, I've been dealing with a breast cancer tumor for 2 years. I've followed several protocols from the Breast Cancer Conqueror to my own naturopathic doctor, Dr. Flav in the UK, although my blood work comes back great every 3 months. So my blood work comes back great every 3 months. I am frustrated that my tumor has grown instead of shrinking. I want to do this naturally, but I'm not sure if I'm doing the correct thing. I've spent thousands of dollars on supplements as well as these different programs I've joined for my protocol. I'm scared that this tumor may get out of hand. I don't know what to do at this point, but would love some suggestions.
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to know because not everyone's tumor is not alike. Everyone's cancer is not alike, and that's because no two people are the same. So when I start off working with people, I do a deep dive from the time that they were in their mother's abdomen until today, looking at all of the things that may contribute to how and why you're here right now. And looking for those sources of inflammation, because if the cancer is still growing, then the inflammatory stimulus is likely still there.
What are the most common inflammatory stimulus you see when working with patients?
Diet is the number one.
And what about the diet?
That is our biggest contact to the outside world. So we house 70% of our immune system in our gut. And everything that we eat and drink every single day comes into contact with 70% of our immune system. Our immune system is charged with determining if what you're eating is friend or foe, right? So is it food or is it a food-like substance? And even beyond that, is it food? Is it food that our body recognizes as food? Because so much of what people consume these days are highly processed food-like substances. So they are not recognized as food in our body. And as a result, they cause a significant amount of inflammation. So if you think about it, like if you stub your toe, if you just stub it once, in a couple of days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, it will heal, right? But what if you stub your toe again the next day and the next day and the next day? And if you stub your toe every single day, will it heal? No. In fact, it will get worse and worse and worse. And that's what's happening to most of us with our diet. Most of us are stubbing our toe every single day with gluten, dairy, sugar, processed foods, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, alcohol, sugar. These are the major offenders that are creeping into our diet every single day and causing that inflammation. And eventually we get into this state of chronic inflammation where our immune system can no longer respond. And so that cancer that is kept in check no longer is kept in check because your immune system, which is responsible for doing that, can no longer do that. And so what we eat and what we drink are the major parts of how we control our toxic load, but it's also what we breathe in. So the air we breathe. And it is what is on us, what goes on us. So, what are you cleaning your house with? What are you inhaling? What are you touching? What are you cleaning your clothes with? And what are you using for your personal care? Because all of this in the end matters, and it especially matters to the person who is dealing already with a diagnosis. So a little bit of toxin in someone who's not dealing with a diagnosis is very different than a little bit of toxin for someone who is dealing with a diagnosis. And so, my best advice to you is to, I always say when I don't have the result that I'm looking for, I go back to square one and I start over with people and start from the beginning and look around again to see what is driving that inflammation for you.
We have a question from Michael. This is really great since we were talking about cancer stem cells. Michael's asking, are there non-invasive methods or tests to most accurately assess just how high or low one's cancer cell load are presently in the bodies, such as hundreds, it's not hundreds or thousands, Michael. I mean, it's millions and billions. Yeah, billions. Hundreds of thousands versus millions. And any direct or indirect way to understand and estimate the present load of cancer stem cells. I know of a test. Do you know of any tests that you like?
I mean, you can measure circulating tumor cells. You certainly can. Those tests are readily available. For some people, you can also follow tumor markers, and you can follow markers of inflammation. But I think the more important markers are those that measure metabolic health, because what you want to know is how is the body doing overall? How is the system doing? And what you want to do is support systemic health. And so I tend to not follow circulating tumor cells and things like that. I tend to follow markers of metabolic health.